Hi friends, I want to introduce you today to King Arthur's gluten-free bread flour. So this is something that if you are celiac or gluten intolerant or just on a strict gluten-free diet, you will want to make sure that you purchase and have in stock in your home pantry. I, in fact, usually buy multiple bags of these. This is a 2-pound bag, so it's a 32-ounce bag, and I usually have several of these in my cupboard. And then additionally, as you can see behind me here, I like to store my gluten-free flours, rice, etc., and baking things in my anchor jars. So the second jar in here, right here, is where I store my bread flour from King Arthur. I keep it in stock at all times. And like I said, I usually have several of these bags in my pantry or my cold storage as well. And I usually will stock up on them a couple, every other month or so. I'll grab 6 to 8 bags. And that's because I am gluten-free. I have been diagnosed celiac now for the past 24 years, since 2002. I have quite a large household family. There are 9 of us. I have 7 children. And of those 7 children, 2, in addition to myself, are also celiac. I have a son and daughter who are both celiac. And then I have 2 children who are gluten intolerant. So if you did the math, you'd realize that the majority of us are gluten-free, whether we're celiac or gluten intolerant, but we must stick to the gluten-free diet. So that said, we do eat quite a bit of food that's gluten-free. Here in our household, we are a gluten-free household. And just because of the numbers, it makes sense for me to be making the stuff rather than buying the pre-made gluten-free food. And I'm not trying to knock gluten-free food that's already been pre-made. But again, just buying that much that we need, it just makes sense to make it fresh and from scratch ourselves. And it always tastes better. Let's just be honest. It always tastes better when it's made from scratch. So I love that, again, this is gluten-free bread flour. So that means I can make cakes with this. I can make cupcakes with this. I can make rolls, dinner rolls with it. I can make artesian bread. I can make sandwich bread with it. I can make the favorite in our household right now is currently cinnamon rolls. But I want to show you last night was Sunday, so we always have every Sunday night. And this is what makes me so happy that I have this flour, is now that it's Sunday, I can make just really yummy. Look at these dinner rolls. They are so good. And look at the rise on those. I mean, this is just like 2 spoonfuls that I pop into a greased muffin pan, and then they rise like that. They're amazing. They're not dense. If you are familiar with gluten-free food, you know, historically, right, they're always really dense and taste like cardboard, and they're always crumbly. So just take a look at this. This is one of the rolls. And again, this is a roll that I made last night. Generally, gluten-free food, after you've eaten it, after it's sat for a little while, it usually gets really dense. But look at this. A day later, super airy. It wasn't very crumbly, which is like a miracle in and of itself. And just look at that. Look at that. They're just so yummy and delicious. And again, these are just their simple dinner rolls that I made using King Arthur's gluten-free dinner roll recipe and using this bread flour. Again, they're amazing. And they're cinnamon rolls, I said. That is a staple. It's a weekend staple. My kids love it. This weekend, if you look behind me, I've got some oranges over here. I'm going to be trying they have a recipe for gluten-free orange rolls. And then I also found a recipe for our gluten-free sticky buns. So both of those recipes from King Arthur obviously are using their gluten-free bread flour. I'm excited to try them because if they're anything like the recipe from King Arthur that I used for making their gluten-free cinnamon rolls using this gluten-free bread flour, they're gonna be insanely amazing. My children, like I said, my husband and several of my children do not have celiac disease or gluten intolerance, so they can eat gluten, but they absolutely love these as well. We have guests over all the time. They eat these as well. Sometimes people don't even know. And if you can smell these smell just like a roll. If I were to go to a big box store right now, grab some fresh rolls out of the bakery, these smell exactly like regular rolls. So I am totally impressed. Here's one thing I will know again with this 2-pound bag of gluten-free, the gluten-free bread flour. So just note the ingredients. The first ingredient is a gluten-free wheat flour starch. I'll come back to that. Then we have cornstarch, cellulose, and psyllium fiber blend. So it's that psyllium fiber blend that really gives it that, that makes it that airy and stuff. And watch, like it bounces back. It's not super dense. It's squishy, right? But like not too squishy and soggy. And then it has the sorghum flour. It has pea protein, so you're gonna get some protein, xanthan gum, and then some enzymes that will work with it. But no, let's go back to the first ingredient. It does have the gluten-free wheat starch, and this is important. So if you are celiac, you are safe with the gluten-free wheat starch. And that's because I know you're hearing the word wheat and you're seeing it in your list of ingredients, but this is nothing to be afraid of. This has been around now, this kind of flour has been around now for, I wanna say, at least 5 to 6 years that I've been aware of. There is a company that's over in Italy that had developed it that I was first aware of. And I was using their flour that also had a gluten-free wheat starch. And it's amazing. I used it for pizzas. It's amazing. When I first read about it and found out about it though, I was initially really cautious and scared, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to even try it because I saw, wheat. And that's an alarming word, especially when you are celiac or you can't have gluten because you have just been trained to avoid it at all costs. It's gonna make you sick. But scientists or food engineers have found a way to engineer the wheat starch so that they can remove the actual protein, gluten protein itself from the wheat starch. So read about it. If you're still cautious and you're still a little bit wary and you're like, I'm not so sure, read about it. It's totally 100% safe if you are celiac or gluten intolerant. Again, this is only for gluten-free wheat starches. Okay, it must say that it's gluten-free before it says the wheat starch. That means that they've removed that gluten protein. However, if you have a gluten allergy, a lot of people that have a gluten allergy also eat gluten-free because most people that are gluten aren't eating things like wheat, right? But if you have a gluten allergy, that's different than celiac disease and gluten intolerance. If you have a gluten allergy, you cannot have this because again, this has gluten-free wheat starch. So for people like myself, celiac, we can't have that gluten protein that's in the wheat itself. People with the wheat allergy can't have wheat. So they haven't removed the wheat, they've just removed that protein. Do some reading about it if you're wary about it. I promise you probably have already eaten a lot of other products that are out there that are labeled, certified, verified, guaranteed, gluten-free, that also have this gluten-free wheat starch. You probably just weren't aware of it. But again, this is a fabulous flour. You are going to want to have this stocked in your pantry, available at all times. I mean, you can start making sandwich bread, save yourself money, save yourself, because we all know being gluten-free on a strict gluten-free diet, it starts to add up, even just for one person, right? So start making your own fresh foods, fresh muffins, fresh cupcakes, cakes. Like I said, cinnamon rolls, dinner rolls. This is a favorite, having these dinner rolls at our dinner table for Sunday meal every Sunday. You're gonna love it. Check it out. King Arthur's gluten-free bread flour. And in addition to that, once you get this, make sure not only that you have one, but several bags of this, and then check out online their recipes for gluten-free food.